Hey guys, my name is Meow, and today I want to go over what I consider to be the best and worst legends in Apex Legends. This is a question that I've been getting a lot lately, and so without further ado, because who likes long introductions, in the S rank, with the ones that I consider to be the best of the best, we have Lifeline, Wraith, and Bangalore. Now, Wraith should be a bit of a no-brainer. You are constantly going against her in this game, and I think that's due in part because of a couple of reasons. The first reason is that she just simply is a very small character. You're gonna notice a theme throughout today's video, and that is the fact that the size of your legend has a pretty dramatic impact on their viability. The smaller you are, the smaller your hitbox, the harder it is for people to actually hit and land shots against you. The less damage you're taking, the easier it is for you to survive, and the great thing about Wraith is that I believe that she is the smallest character in the game, making her one of the slipperiest and hardest characters to actually take down. So that's reason number one. The second is that her abilities are absolutely phenomenal. Not only does her passive notify her when she's getting looked at, so it's very difficult for other teams to get the drop on you, which is very important, but on top of that, she has essentially a get out of jail free card. Being able to essentially phase into another plane of existence where you don't take any damage has a lot of great applications. This allows you to play very aggressively. You can push and try to take people out where normally as any other character, it'd be a bit too risky. As soon as it turns into a 2v1 or a 3v1 situation, activate her normal ability and then fall on back to your teammates. If you get caught out in the open, it's not GG. If you're playing as Caustic, there wouldn't be a whole lot that you could do about it, but as Wraith, you have this ability to fall back on. And then finally, you have her ultimates. There are so many ways that you're able to use this. I think it's one of the most versatile abilities in the game that's really underutilized. You can use this to revive teammates. You can use this simply as a way to fall back and reload or to get more health. You can use this to flank the enemy. You can use it to push behind the enemy and then constantly bounce between the different portals. There are so many ways that you can use this to your advantage. And so just in general, it's for these very reasons why I think that Wraith is easily one of the best characters in the game. Moving on over to Lifeline, this should also be pretty obvious why she's in this S tier. The reason why you constantly see care packages being called on in is because everyone has her on her team. I'm usually more surprised when they don't have a Lifeline because her abilities are probably some of the best in the game. Her ultimate, while it doesn't really have a lot of applications in the middle of a fight, it will allow you to get the gear that you need to be able to win those engagements. Getting a purple armor or a helmet, for example, is going to mean the difference between your team winning and losing. If you're constantly going through ultimate accelerants and calling a lot of care packages, you can get fully kitted out of nowhere, which you wouldn't have been able to do by just scavenging around the map. I have won games because my team was able to get geared up with her ultimate that wouldn't have been possible any other way. Then you have her passive, which I gotta say is the main reason why I play as Lifeline. Not only being able to revive teammates 25% faster and having a shield which blocks all damage and shots is a huge bonus, but really being able to use any healing item 25% faster is probably the reason why I play her so much. I have been in situations where if I was playing as any other character, I would have lost because there would be no way I would have been able to get one of these heals off. And then finally, she has her heal drone, which also has a lot of great uses. Not only does it free up a slot because you no longer need to carry around syringes anymore because this heals you just fine, but it can also be one of those tools that can shift the paradigm into your favor. I really think that's the best way of describing Lifeline and why I think she deserves this S tier. Everything about her allows you to shift the battle into your favor out of nowhere. A quick revive, being able to get a shield off faster than anyone else when normally you wouldn't have been able to, being able to heal all of your teammates in any kind of situation, all of that together makes her an incredible legend to have on your team. And then finally, we have Bangalore. The reason why she is so powerful really comes down to her smoke nades, her speed, and her size. Because she's one of the smallest characters in the game, just like we talked about before, she's really hard to hit. But to compound that, her passive ability, whenever someone tries to take a shot at her, but they miss, it increases her movement speed, I believe, by 25% for a couple of seconds, making her a much harder target. That movement speed, plus her small hitbox, makes her a very slippery character character to actually pin down. If that wasn't enough though, she can also lay down a smoke screen, which also has a lot of great applications. It can be used defensively to revive a teammate or get a heal off in the middle of a combat where a lot of people are running around, but they're gonna have a hard time seeing you, of course, in the middle of that smoke. You can use it aggressively if you have a Bloodhound or if you have a threat detector. Now, it can be a bit of a double-edged sword because the other team can take advantage of the smoke as well, but as long as you use it properly, I think it is one of the strongest gadgets in the game currently. Now, as for her ultimate, I will admit it's probably one of the more lackluster in the game, but that really doesn't matter a whole lot because of her other abilities available to her. It is still useful, don't get me wrong, but it's more of a way to stop the other team from pushing on in. You can use it to do a little bit of damage. If you knock someone out, you can then throw this on them to either try to take them out with the ultimate itself, or at least push the other team away from trying to get the revive off, but that's really all it's good at. Because it also forces your team to kind of stay back, because if it goes off and it activates, it won't do any damage to your teammates, but it will slow them down, which could put them at a pretty big disadvantage. In general though, I really do think that she is one of the best legends in the game right now. Her speed, alongside a very small hitbox and her smoke screen, I think adds a lot of value to your team. Moving on down to our A tier, we have Bloodhound. Now, the reason why I place Bloodhound here is that I find this character to not have necessarily the best abilities, but their ultimate is incredibly powerful. Their passive is decent. Being able to track other players can allow you to sneak up on other teams and catch them by surprise, but usually in the middle of an engagement, it doesn't add a whole lot of value. If someone's running away from you, maybe you can track them down and take them out, but that's really about it. Their special ability is also halfway decent, but in the middle of an engagement, once again, it really doesn't do a whole lot. If you're trying to figure out where they are, it can be good, but most of the time, you're gonna have a general idea of where they're located, and so it doesn't add a whole lot of value. Where Bloodhound really shines, though, is with their ultimates. Movement speed increase, being able to see through smoke, being able to see their footprints and have an idea of where they're heading is really powerful. Bloodhound is one of those characters where if you're able to put the other team on the back foot with constant aggression, it's really difficult for them to recover. Because of that increased movement speed, they can't run away from you. And if they do try to run away, you can just see their footprints so you know exactly where they're heading. You give them no time to get a heal off. You don't give them the opportunity to reassess and try to reset the match, even if they do try to use other ultimates. Because you're able to constantly keep that pressure up, it allows you and your team to swoop on in and finish everyone off. Now, the downside of Bloodhound, though, and the reason why I didn't place them into the S tier, is that really is all they bring to the table is that ultimate. You're going to want to constantly be using ultimate accelerants because every time you do get into an engagement, you're going to want to have that up. Your other abilities compared to the other characters that we've talked about so far are fairly lackluster in comparison, especially when you are in an engagement, and for that very reason, I've placed them into this A tier. Moving on down to our B rank, we have Gibraltar, Pathfinder, and Mirage. I have fallen in love with Pathfinder. His ability to move around the map faster than anyone else is one of the most satisfying ways to play Apex Legends, but his biggest downfall is the size of his character. Unlike every other legend that we've talked about today, which all have relatively small hitboxes, he is quite large, making it very easy for people to take him out. As soon as I switch from Wraith to Pathfinder, I immediately notice the difference. I'm taking way more damage. I'm having to be much more passive because I need to constantly get more heals off. I'm just simply taking a lot more shots, which of course is not advantageous. And so while I love this guy's kit, being able to zipline your team up to high grounds wins games. Being able to move around the map faster than anyone else is, like I said, one of the most satisfying things in Apex Legends, but it's because of his size, which I think really limits his potential. The same story is true for Gibraltar, but it's even worse. I believe that he is more than twice the size of Wraith. He is probably the easiest target to take out. If I see a Gibraltar on the other team, I immediately focus fire them down because I know I'm going to have the advantage. If I'm able to immediately take out one of their teammates, it doesn't matter that he has a protective shield that absorbs about 50 damage. It doesn't matter at all because I know that I'm going to be able to drop him way faster than he can drop me because I'm just a much harder target to hit. Thankfully, Respawn has noted and said that they are going to be taking some steps in the future to try to make them a little bit more more viable. I don't know if they're going to reduce their hitbox size. I don't know if they're going to shrink that. Maybe they're going to give them more HP. That is one idea that the community has been bouncing around. But we do know that they have noted that people are gravitating away from these characters for this very reason. I really do believe that if he had the same hitbox size as Wraith, for example, that he would be one of the strongest characters in the game. His ultimate, for example, is the hardest hitting and can take out a full squad if they're not careful. You down one of their players, just throw this on top of them, and you're basically going to guarantee get that knockout. If someone goes for the revive and they're not aware of what's happening around them, you're probably also going to knock them out. On top of that, his bubble shield also has a lot of great applications. You can use it to safely revive a teammate. You can use it as simply as a wall to run away from the action. Or if someone calls in a Bangalore ultimate, you can use it as a cover system as well. And so just in general, while I love his abilities and what he can bring to a team, it's the fact that he is so large that I think really limits his viability. And then finally, we have Mirage. The reason why I placed him into this B rank is that if I'm being completely honest, I find his abilities to be pretty lackluster. His ultimate sounds amazing on paper, being able to send out a bunch of different clones and then you're sort of invisible and then you can relocate. Sounds awesome, but in practice, it's really mediocre. The camo component of it really doesn't do a good job of camouflaging you. You would think this would be a great way for you to sneak up on players, and while, yeah, maybe in some situations if they're oblivious, because it doesn't do a good job of camouflaging you, a lot of times I will just see the Mirage running straight towards my team, and then I'll light him up. As for his passive, it is just terrible. When you have characters like Lifeline, for example, who are able to heal themselves 25% faster, all you have as Mirage is the ability to kind of go camouflage for a short period of time. When you get taken down, that doesn't do anything for your team. Like that is, like I said, that is outright terrible. Really the only great aspect about Mirage is his ability to bamboozle people. And in some cases, this can win you engagements. If you're able to trick someone into going after your clone, you round the other side of the corner, they're focused on that while you are able to, of course, focus on them, that can give you that slight edge to be able to take them out. And so while I love the concept of this character, like he sounds really cool on paper, in practice, I just find his abilities to be very lackluster, and that is why I have him as the final legend in this B tier. And then finally, all the way down in our C rank, we have Caustic. I truly do believe that Caustic is the worst legend in the game right now. All of the other characters that we've talked about today, as long as you know what you're doing, and I think this is one great thing that Respawn has achieved, you can be successful. Yes, Gibraltar might have a disadvantage because of his size. Yes, I might not be a huge fan of Mirage, but there are people out there that can do incredible things with those characters, and as long as you know what to do and how to play as them, you can win. That's one great thing about Apex Legends. I don't feel the same way about Caustic whatsoever. There are so many problems with his kits. Not only does he have one of the largest hitboxes, but all of his abilities are just worthless. So his trap, for example, yes, you can use them to block doorways. If the end circle is in a tight location, there's a bunch of buildings, he sort of has an advantage, but as long as you know how to work around those traps, there's really not a whole lot that he can do about it. For example, if you shoot the bottom part, the yellow bottom of the trap itself, you will just destroy it. It just disappears directly in front of you. If you do happen to run into one of them and they activate, as long as you're quick about it, you can quickly run out. You've taken almost no damage whatsoever, and while it might kind of fuzz your screen slightly, it quickly dissipates. Really, the only way that his traps are gonna have much of an impact is if you push on in for whatever reason. As long as you keep your distance, you're gonna be fine. His ultimate sounds amazing, but because its AoE effect is so small, you basically have to throw it directly at the targets. If you're throwing it directly at them and you're going through an animation, because he's so large, people are able to basically whittle him down from 100% to 0 while in that animation. He has so many counters that even Caustic counters himself. If the other team has a Caustic, he's not affected by your ultimate. He's not affected by your gas canisters. Like, there's really no reason to play as him. And while I know that some people argue that if the circle ends around a bunch of buildings, he can be advantageous, and to some extent I do agree with that, but the majority of the time, because you are going to be out in the open, trying to get to that end circle can be really difficult. You're basically putting your team at a massive disadvantage until that final circle, and for that very reason, I think he deserves this C tier. I'm really curious to see what Respawn does to try to improve him, because I really do think that he needs a pretty significant upgrade. But yeah, guys, that is what it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about my ranks. Nothing is set in stone here. This was just simply my opinion, and so would you move some of these legends up or down? Let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, guys, until next time, have a good one and take it easy.